Hi everyone, and welcome to the SuperFeast podcast, and also live on Instagram and on YouTube. Hello. I'm here to talk to you guys today about just an update on our women's health kind of education program that we've been running for a while now. We've been doing a whole series of podcasts. We've released a blend specifically for menstruating women and women postpartum, women looking to conceive, to warm up the uterus, cleanse the blood in the uterus. We're really excited to bring to you guys soon some blends for people with menopause symptoms, more of those hot flashes and that kind of thing. So there's lots going on behind the scenes at SuperFeast. But we just wanted to kind of check in and see how everyone was going. It's been a few months since I Am Gaia launched, and we've had lots of great feedback. We've had some people who've had some kind of really amazing results, but also people that have had some challenges with the blend. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit today. Especially with the menstrual cycle and women's hormones, it can take quite a while for things to come back to normal. I know for me, when I was coming off the pill, I didn't get a bleed for about 2 years. And then for about another 6 to 8 months, my period was really wacky, just while everything was kind of resettling and readjusting. So there's a lot of kind of patience and gentleness that we need to have as we kind of approach our healing, especially with our with our female hormones. They're really sensitive to things like stress and to kind of environmental toxins and that kind of thing. Anything kind of fat soluble, which is a lot of chemicals and those kinds of things, will end up kind of being recirculated in the body, and they can really affect the health of our uterus and the kind of quality of the blood as well. So there's lots to kind of look at when we're talking about menstrual health. So we see Gaia as kind of a supporting blend that can help to cleanse the blood and kind of increase the flow of blood to the uterus, and to harmonize some of those channels that in Chinese medicine support healthy menstrual function. So we're looking at the spleen, liver and kidneys in particular. And that's to do with healthy digestion, it's to do with healthy blood, and it's to do with the healthy flow of energy through the body. We also kind of want to remind you guys that it can take like 100 days minimum sometimes to regulate hormones and to regulate a healthy menstrual cycle. So you might find that you start working with a naturopath or with a great Chinese doctor, or even just with our herbs at home, and you find that the first couple of bleeds you have are a bit weird. Sometimes you can experience things like spotting or heavier or lighter bleeds as the body adjusts. And I think for a couple of months, if that's okay, if it starts to kind of progress, then you might want to go and speak to a medical professional and really make sure that you're getting to the root cause of what's going on, because it could be something else that's kind of creating that. And you've also got to look at lifestyle and addressing, what you're eating. Is it low inflammation? Are you getting enough rest? Are you kind of getting off the caffeine if adrenaline is an issue for you? A lot of people, when they're too kind of hyper-adrenalized, then their sex hormones won't be produced, because that's the body's way of saying, like, hey, you're in a really stressed out situation, it's not a great time to have a baby. The body's pretty wise like that, and that's kind of an evolutionary adaptation as well. So we've spoken about all of these ideas a lot in the SuperFeast podcast. We've spoken to people like Laura Clemens, who does a lot of like shamanic work on healing the womb. She does things like steams and works with a lot of herbs. We've worked with people like Kim Anami, who's super cool and does work with like the Taoist practices in a kind of more modern way, which I really like. Things like jade eggs to strengthen the vaginal canal and increase the flow of qi and blood to the vagina. Also things like breast massage, which can help to balance hormones, believe it or not. We've talked to people like Laura Bryden, who's an amazing naturopathic doctor out of New Zealand, who does heaps of great work around period repair. We've spoken to Carrie Jones, who talks a lot about kind of the more complex nature of hormones, and she's an ambassador for the Dutch test, which is a super amazing kind of diagnostic tool if you're interested in looking into kind of the nuances of your hormones more often. And things like getting your hormones tested regularly can be really helpful, especially if you are kind of going through a lot of changes in your life. Like I said, stress is such a big one, but when we have babies, it's a huge transition for a lot of us. And we can find that we get a little bit out of whack. After we have the child, we bleed that lochia for quite a while, and that can be, quite an intense experience. And then there's a period usually of no menstruation, and then the period will come back. And so for some women, those transitions are not smooth. Other women find it pretty easy to kind of navigate, but that can have an impact on thyroid health. The lack of sleep and the stress when you're having kids can totally mess up your hormones. So they're all things to have a look at. And especially like for younger women, as you're starting to kind of get your period, it's really normal to have a bit of a kind of rough start as your body adjusts. So again, that's just the body getting used to producing sex hormones and getting used to kind of menstruation. So it's nice to just be really gentle with yourself through those times. And similarly, as we transition into menopause, so these are huge times of transition. And one of the things I love about Chinese medicine is that it really invites us to use these times of transition to get healthier instead of to get like less healthy and more depleted. But that requires a little bit of intention and focus from us. So it was a really great interview I did with Jenny. She's a Chinese doctor out of New Zealand. Check that one out as well, Jenny Allison, and Dr. Claudia Welsh, who Mason gave me this book to hold up. But she's a really good one. She talks a lot about like the kind of yin and yang of hormones, and she bridges Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, which are two really helpful kind of ancient disciplines for helping us to understand the nuances of what goes on just on a kind of physiological level day to day being a woman. We are secular, we are really different to men. They have their cycles too, but women's are very, very kind of sensitive to stress and sensitive to a lot of change. Whereas if you look at, I don't want to be too like anti-feminist, but if you look at traditional cultures and the roles that people take on, women tend to stay fairly close to the village and close to home, and they tend to do a lot of the kind of more slower paced kind of work. So the things like cooking and weaving and caring for children and, keeping the kind of village going, and the men will do the more kind of high intensity kind of activities, going out and hunting and collecting, building materials and building things. And this is not to say you can't have it all. If you want to do that, that's fine, but I do think we have to kind of keep biology in mind when we're looking at how to take care of our kind of feminine energy and our menstrual cycles. So sometimes just slowing down, resting more. One of the things Claudia said that I really loved was like women kind of wait to build the energy to respond, whereas men respond first and then kind of rebuild their energy. So that's something that I've really been trying to think about more and do in my life. So there's lots of stuff in there. I hope you guys are really enjoying everything. We're really keen to hear from you, so please let us know if there's any interviews that you'd like us to do. I've just completed one with a really amazing kind of like period health ambassador, Nicole Jardim, and then another one's coming soon with Sarah Wilson, who'll be talking a little bit more about anxiety and that kind of mental health side of things. There's heaps out there, so hope you guys are enjoying it all. Let us know if we can do anything else for you.